You're probably wondering why there is a man sitting in the woods with a bow in his hand next to a sword and embracing nature, right? A while back and early on in life, I started realizing that all addiction goes back to a lack of adventure in people's lives, you know? And that's why people, let's say, going down the addiction path, they're trying to emotionally manipulate themselves in different ways and try finding ways of stimulating emotions outside of the natural world, you know. And let me explain that for a moment, right? Think of women, and women would read love story books, and the reason they do that is to emotionally experience love in their lives that they don't have. And that's also the reason why men watch soccer matches and all of that, right? So what they do is they go to the bar and they try to emotionally experience the match through other players and experience adventure that they're not getting in their own life. So men watching matches on telly is the exact same as women reading love story books, right? So they're trying to experience what they don't have in their lives, right? So what I'm going to be speaking about here is kind of the importance of bringing back adventure into your life and how adventure can overcome many addictions and also can bring happiness and joy into your life and bring you into a world that you can experience the real world in ways that we're meant to do, right? Like you see a lot of people and they would overcome alcohol addiction through mountain climbing and all of that because they're bringing back in adventure into their lives, right? So here I am with a bow, sword, arrows in the woods, because I'm going to be promoting adventure in a very different way. I'm going to be promoting a spiritual adventure, right? And I'm going to be holding talks and podcasts, and I'm going to be interviewing very interesting people. A lot of people would know me for many years, and they would have seen many different things that I've done in life. They would know of my interest in, let's say, Druidism, Druid teachings, the spiritual teachings of Ireland, mythology, all of that. And I'm going to explain how this all comes together in one, right? My bow, I have a lovely bow. I have it signed there, but the chiefs and indigenous leaders of the world with prayers and all of that, right? And I'm just going to talk about archery for a moment that'll help you understand what I'm talking about and bring it into a real form of teaching, right? So when many people think of archery, they think of samurai, right? But the truth be told, the samurais were the bastards, right? The samurais were the people who were working for the lords, and it was the samurais who were robbing you of your home and your property and all of that. So you had a group of people in Japan who used to protect people from the samurai, and they were known as the ninja, right? And the highest form of ninja then was known as the shinobi, right? And I'll just show you something. So this is the symbol of the shinobi, right? I keep that in my home for many different reasons, right? And shinobi would be people who would study the arts of the bow, of um, the sword, the whole lot, as a means of getting a deeper understanding into themselves, right? So as you study I'll leave this here for a moment, right? As you study the arts of the shinobi, you'll first read a book called the Bunshin Kai, and the Bunshin Kai would be the book of the ninja. And as you study this and go through the processes, you will realize that the ninja was the origins of what we know today as espionage. Like you have, let's say, the intelligence services and all of that. And espionage, the ninjas were the ones who mastered that from day one. So all intelligence services goes back to the ninja and the understanding of the ninja and the studying of the book called the Bunshin Kai. Right? But as you study the Bunshin Kai, you realize that the ninja, they were not Buddhist, right? Um, it was nothing like that. And they came from a part of Japan called Iga. And Iga was the spiritual home of the ninja, the mountains in Japan, the Iga Mountains, right? And like what they really practiced was a thing called Shugendo. And Shugendo was the human connection with nature and the spirituality of nature and what we can learn from that as a means of accelerating our spiritual path and intuition senses and all of that. And this is the origins of what we know as warriorhood and warriorship, right? And the Shugendo really was the Yamabushi were the monks and the teachers of this, and the Yamabushi was the pathway of it, and that was the pathway of training mastership of yourself in nature as a means of accelerating your spiritual intuition, wisdom, and your understanding of the divine world, right? Like everybody knows let's say you can get different spiritual feelings and senses from nature, right? So they would have called them, seen them as they would have personalized them. It's not that they seen them as gods or anything like that, but they actually gave these spirit guides names and personalities as a means of us learning how to, I suppose, get a deeper understanding and connection with nature and understanding through all this realm, right? And the reason I'm saying that is all warriorship in the world goes back to the spiritual teachings of nature. And truth be told, Ireland has the oldest teaching of this on planet Earth, right? And that's where we get Nafina. Nafina were the spiritual teachers of Ireland. And that's why Om, Druids, the teachings of nature, it all goes back here, right? Like when we talk of, let's say, even in China, people know about Chinese medicine, right? And the spiritual teachers of China were known as the Tokharian monks, and the Tokhar were the orchard people and all that sort of stuff, whatever. That's what that means. And it's very funny. There was a lecturer in uh, Denmark, Copenhagen in Denmark. I think his name is Maloney. You'll find him on YouTube, right? And he does holds talks on the Tokharian monks, and he said he's the most academically advanced teacher in of all this kind of stuff. And he says now that the funniest thing is history doesn't make sense. He says the only thing that makes sense is these are Irish monks who just went for a wonder, right, and taught the world. And the all Chinese medicine goes back to a thing called the Tokharian B medical manuscripts. And the Tokharian B medical manuscripts is Om, the teachings of